right.
Bring our meeting to order. Flag salute. Dave, you want to do that?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public participation. You got anything to tell us? No, sir. Nothing. You're playing Willie on us, huh? Yeah. Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to item 3. Consent calendar, approve 3.1, approved minutes of the regular meeting of October 11th, 2021. And 3.2. better
take
go
'em both.
together. Approval of warrant claims for a period covered October 2021. I looked on there online.
Is somebody on
Yeah, it's they're part of the agenda.
They're one of the agenda items.
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Yep.
I make a motion that we approve item 3.1 and 3.2.
I second that.
Motion has been made and a second. Any discussion on that? If not, all in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to item 4, new business. 4.1, conduct a public hearing for ordinance number 21-2002. An ordinance of Crescent Fire Protection District amending ordinance number 21-001, levying a fire suppression assessment beginning in fiscal year 2021 to 22. Recommendation, receive staff report. Chief?
All right. So a public hearing is required prior to the adoption of ordinance 21-002, an ordinance of the Crescent Fire Protection District amending ordinance number 21-001, levying a fire suppression assessment beginning fiscal year 21-22. On July 12, 2021, the district adopted ordinance number 21-001, levying a fire suppression assessment beginning in fiscal year 21-22. Through input from the public and board discussion, the district desires to expand eligibility for a maximum assessment levy and to clarify qualifying exemptions from the assessment by amending ordinance number 21-001. The original ordinance, number 21-001, exempted vacant or undeveloped land from the assessment. The original ordinance also set a maximum assessment levy per parcel for developed parcels containing multiple structures and were capped at 13.5 EBUs or $1,000 per parcel. The amended ordinance for consideration and adoption expands the ordinance to include the original exemptions and to establish an exemption for parcels which are held under identical ownership within the same customer class, i.e. residential, commercial, government, and may, upon approval of an application by the owners thereof to the district, be treated as a single parcel for purposes of applying the maximum assessment fee not to exceed $1,000 per parcel. The owner of such parcels seeking exemptions shall submit an application to the district in a format approved by the district, providing the owner's name and address, property maps, and deed and title information that sufficiently demonstrates that the applicant is the owner of record or trustee of the owner of record with power of attorney for the owner of record for all qualifying property, specific policy and procedures to carry out this exemption, and to approve and otherwise revise the application form as required, shall be adopted by resolution by the district following a public meeting. For each year the exemption is claimed, the district may request ownership information necessary to sufficiently demonstrate that the applicant is the owner of record for all the qualifying property. Unsecured property such as boat slips, or other unsecured personal property that is not on the county assessor's secured tax roll is not subject to the assessment levy and is exempt from this assessment. Under ordinance 21-001, commercial industrial parcel class had each building on a parcel assigned 1.1 EBU per equivalent single-family home per 2,500 square feet. Since limited parcel data is available, the EBU assignment for individual commercial and industrial parcels will default to the benefit units assigned per the 1987 assessment until such time when updated square foot information is available for any individual commercial or industrial parcel. And the amendments to the ordinance number 21-001 do not constitute a new or increased assessment over the maximum amount imposed, and therefore do not trigger or require new majority protest balloting proceedings in accordance with Prop 218. Ordinance number 21-002, amending ordinance number 21-001, was introduced at the regular October 11th, 2021 meeting by the Crescent Fire Protection District Board. A public hearing at the November 8th, 2021 regular meeting regarding ordinance number 21-002. Let's see, should say will be held at this meeting. That's what we're doing right now. In conclusion, staff recommends that the district board read by title only and adopt ordinance number 21-002, an ordinance of the Crescent Fire Protection District, amending ordinance number 21-001, levying a fire suppression assessment beginning in fiscal year 21-22. The overall amendments do not constitute a new or increased assessment over the maximum amount imposed, and therefore do not trigger or require new majority protest balloting proceedings in accordance with Prop 218. Implementation of ordinance 21-002 would reduce the estimated fiscal year 21-22 assessment revenue from $421,404 to approximately $414,071, or a $7,333 reduction. This would not affect the proposed assessment rate of $74 per single family benefit unit for fiscal year 21-22. The ordinance 21-002 is attached. This is the same ordinance that was introduced last month that the board introduced and read by waived reading and read by title only. And with that, I would recommend, or staff recommends, that the board chair open up the public hearing, hear what information the public has to provide, and then move on through to take that public comment, close the public hearing, and then have a board discussion. And then you will consider adoption in 4.2.
Okay, at this time then, we would like to open the floor to the public. Do we have anyone online waiting to go?
No, we don't have an open Zoom link.
It's a live meeting tonight,
Just-
fully live.
It's only people that show up in the,
Do you
In
have
the queue.
something to say?
I have something to ask.
Okay,
The fiscal impact on the residents of the Crescent Fire Protection District, give a better report on that.
Yeah, the impact, it doesn't change anything for the balance of folks. Their amount doesn't go up or down. By extending the exemption or the $1,000 cap to property owners that own enough properties to be able to qualify for that, the total reduction of what the district would see is about $7,300 annually.
Am I allowed to ask another question? Sure. One more question was,
Mhm.
it said that you said in your report that the undeveloped properties are going to be exempt from the tax, correct?
Yep.
Will that, has there been a report done or anything with law enforcement as far as calls on vacant properties?
Not at this point. As we've gone through the decision through the engineering report and through board direction and decision was to currently exempt vacant properties. And if there was something in the future, like an action or a clearing of properties or something like that, that would be something that could come back and be taken on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you for my vote.
Yeah. Yep. We could do that under the abatement process.
Because it's you.
You got some empty property. No, I was, the reason I asked the question was because a lot of the district calls are homeless accounts. And hopefully I'm still on public comment time. I don't want to overdo my time.
Well, we're asking you for clarification.
I was just curious, and the reason I asked the question was, if those property owners that own those vacant lots were paying property tax on them, or not property tax on them,
But the
assessment tax on them, they would be more liable to keep the homeless off of their vacant lots.
Possibly.
Possibly.
But some of them are gonna be out of town owners and they're not gonna know who's camping on their property.
I look at dealing with those type of incidents on vacant land as like tourists coming through and having a car wreck. Just something to
Yeah.
cover.
Depending on what the case is, if all of the entities, if county code enforcement, the different entities, there would be the potential on specific properties to possibly go back in and try and either generate response revenue or in the process of cleanup, or in the commission of a felony.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, at this time, we have no other further comment from the public. So we will close the public hearing and go back to the board. Any discussion from any members regarding this issue?
I'm glad we finally kind of come to an end on this. Got it straightened out and most everybody seems to be happy about it all.
That would be my next question. Have we heard anything back from the harbor?
Currently the harbor still has their lawsuit pending.
Okay.
Yeah, there were some other interests that were also threatening and they have stepped back.
So the
Yeah.
only one that we haven't really heard anything back from is the harbor.
That's
They're
correct.
probably waiting for us to see what we're doing tonight.
Could be. I don't
If I
know.
was
I don't know
them,
at this
I would.
point.
If I was as confused as they appear to be about how it was all working out, I would have waited.
Yeah.
I'm projecting on them, I guess, but that's what I would think.
Okay, is this something we need to take a vote on to approve?
Not on this
Changes
one.
Or what we've done? We've
4
already
point-
pretty much done that.
Yeah, 4.2, we will.
Okay.
And if you want to move us to 4.2, Board Chair Nelson.
We're moving.
Okay. And for this is to waive full reading, read by title only, and adopt ordinance number 21-002. An ordinance of the Crescent Fire Protection District, amending ordinance number 21-001, levying a fire suppression assessment beginning in fiscal year 2021-22. And I'll spare you reading the exact same staff report. You've already received it. Staff would recommend that you take any public comment and then work down through the recommendations.
At this time, we've pretty much heard it already in item 4.1, but is there any questions from the public? No questions from the public? If not,
We need a motion to waive full reading.
for discussion, do we have to have? a
When
full
you,
reading?
when there's a motion made, you'll just need to add that to the motion.
Yep.
You'll need to read that section for it there under
It's in capital
recommendation.
right there under recommendation 4. Right on the cover of it.
So whoever.
don't have to
ma-
read the
whoever
whole
makes the
thing?
motion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see that
Okay.
piece there under recommendation for 4? If you read what's in bold there, that will cover what's needed.
Item 4, review and waive full reading, read by title only, and adopt ordinance number 21-002, an ordinance of the Crescent Fire Protection District, amending ordinance number 21-001, levying a fire suppression assessment beginning in fiscal year 2021 through 2022. Do I have a motion to accept that?
Make a motion to accept that by title only.
The motion has been made.
I say.
Second
Is
has
that
been
the
made.
roll call on this?
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion on that? If not, would you like to take the roll call, Vanessa?
Yes, sir. Chairman Nelson,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Short,
Yes.
Director Earler,
Yes.
and Director Kelly.
Yes.
All right.
It looks like it has been approved in full. Okay, moving on to item 4.3, appoint members for the fire department 2x2 committee. Receive staff report and
Okay.
presentation.
All right. The Crescent Fire Protection District and City of Crescent City have a long history of working together under various collaborative agreements. In 2015, both agencies came together through an operational merger of their respective volunteer fire associations.
I'm gonna step out on this part, Chief.
You bet.
See you guys later.
And entered into a joint exercise of powers agreement, the Emergency and Fire Response Services Agreement, referred to as the agreement. This partnership provides cost-effective and seamless services to the greater Crescent City area. The agreement provides for the sharing of costs between the two agencies for a variety of services, including personnel and equipment shared costs. The agreement was last amended in February 2021. Contained within the agreement under section 15.03 committees, the district and city may establish ad hoc committees of the respective bodies to review and consider any matter of mutual concern or interest. Any such committee shall be made up of 2 district board members and 2 city council members. The standing ad hoc committee has historically been referred to as the Fire Department 2x2 Committee. Currently, there is a need to bring the Fire Department 2x2 Committee together to meet and discuss matters of mutual concern or interest, including the discussion of upcoming fire chief recruitment and selection process, discussion of volunteer firefighter stipends, and possible discussion of personnel positions. Staff requests that the board select and update 2 members to serve on the district as district representatives on the Fire Department 2x2 Committee. Request for the board also to provide staff direction to schedule a committee meeting with the city to begin discussion. There's no fiscal impact from assigning a 2x2 committee representatives or establishing a meeting. And probably the most immediate pressing piece with this is to get that discussion going for the upcoming need for the recruitment for a fire chief position. Because as the board knows, I've been very open, and my plan is in June of next year to be able to retire. And so we want to be able to get those 2x2 members reestablished, and then staff given direction to reach out to the city and say, let's get a meeting going. And I can add, Vanessa received it and I received it also. Director Gregorio couldn't be here tonight, but did ask that he be considered for the position. He's very interested in being on that committee.
So are we replacing the 2 that are currently on there? Is that the plan? Because Rick and I were,
Right,
We're
you
on
guys were
before.
appointed about 2 years ago. Yeah,
and I don't ever recall of us being unappointed.
right.
So are we getting new people?
And, you know, in the time that I've been here, I've seen the appointment done twice, about every 2 years. And so I would hand that to the board and just consider if the members wish to stay on it. Also, the board consideration that Director Gregorio also has asked to be considered.
I think the bottom drawer down there has some dueling pistols. If you'd like to pull them out.
Hey, he's not here.
But you're
You
missing a
lose,
guy.
you lose, you know?
Well, I thought the reason for the 2x2 was certain situations. Once that is solved,
Mhm.
then the 2x2 is done. And then
This is the-
whoever else wants to be on the 2x2
the whole.
For the next project
Mhm.
would be
The
somebody
whole
else.
purpose of the QIQ is not really defined anywhere.
It really
It's
is.
just something we do.
Yeah, it's basically, it's an ad hoc committee as needed.
We haven't had a 2x2 meeting in.
Well, since we hired this.
Yeah,
one.
probably the
We've
last
had one
time the two,
since then, but mainly dealing with this assessment stuff is,
I might ask, are both of you interested or one of you?
Sure,
want to
I don't
back
mind staying on.
down? Okay.
well, I kind of want to stay on it too, but I think,
Then the
Joe
duel
has
will be
got
between you and
some,
Joe.
huh?
The duel will be between you and Joe. Get the pistols out.
Yeah, Joe's not here, but Joe does have a lot more business expertise than I. So
So,
I might would defer to him for that if he really wants it. I really want it too, but I think, well, it might be
If you
better.
want it, go ahead.
Huh?
I'll back out.
So now we have no one besides Joe.
I'm trying to be nice.
You want to
to
arm
guys.
wrestle?
No, I don't want to wrestle.
Howard, you're the one that's supposed to
Make the choice.
make the choice.
Yeah, you're
ultimately,
you're the cheese here.
You're the chief.
Chair, we're joking up.
I know,
It's the chairman
you're the
that
chief.
appoints it.
exactly.
I'm thinking
Did
the
the chairman
number
get a
from 1
request
to
from
10.
Joe?
Whoever comes the closest to right on.
I don't know.
Why do you send it?
You
to
guys pulled
I
that
don't-
when I was getting on the board years ago, when it was Harold Norberry and I. You guys
I just want to
couldn't
make
make
a
decision.
point
All
here.
right.
No,
Well,
And,
let me
and
bring
as
up my
we're,
point.
as we're going through
If
the,
Joe wanted to be on the committee, the chairman is the one that appoints those things.
right, I understand.
You were not, you did not receive any requests from Joe, did you?
No.
Then therefore you cannot appoint him because he didn't request it through the proper channel. Sending it to Vanessa, I mean, that's nice too, and the chief to include them in his loop, but it was the wrong loop. You know, following me. So
I think technically you're right.
I'm always technically right.
Yeah.
But, you know, if Joe wants to be on it,
I mean,
I'll,
sometimes this stuff just has nuance that it doesn't necessarily go over my head. I think, oh, good grief. But
well, Joe's one for always following procedure and he missed this one by a mile.
How did he miss it?
I don't know, but
All
we
we
didn't.
ended-
Is this on tape?
How did he
He
miss
needs
it?
to
Where
hear
is
it
it? Where
is
is
on
Joe?
tape.
How did he
Joe,
miss-
you
how did he
missed it.
miss it?
business in
All he did was
Sacramento.
suggest it to him. He suggested it does.
But it's
There
the
is
wrong,
there
but
is
it's
no
the
voting.
wrong flow of
There-
information.
There's
It
no
doesn't.
voting. No, there
No.
isn't. No, he can, he's a public, he's a
Read
public.
page 17 of Robert's
You
Rules
got
of
3
Order.
minutes
It
to
talks
tell-
about
Oh,
ad hoc
crap.
committee. The
you're making
chairman-
that up.
The chairman wanted to appoint him. The chairman should be, the request should go to the chairman, not to staff.
Then I'll ask each one of you.
But
Is
I
there
will,
Any one of
Wait.
you who would like
No.
to,
He's leading the meeting.
hey, let's keep this civil now, okay?
it is
Is
civil.
there
You're
any
more
one of
suggestive
you, do you
doing
both
pistols.
still want to stay on the committee or would one of you like to back off?
I will back off.
After all this, or after you are.
I'm not arguing. I'm just bringing out a point of
Making a
order,
point.
Dave.
Okay,
If we're gonna follow these things, you need to follow it the way it's
Good.
supposed to be.
good point. Well brought, Jim.
Well,
I-
he's not even here to give
I'd like to know
requests.
what else page 17 has to say. Robert's Rules of Order.
We won't go into the whole making up.
You could sit on an alternative then. How's that sound? Okay. All right. So as of right now, it will be Joe.
Tough banana.
The both of you that will be on this committee, okay? All right.
Okay.
And with the board chair, would you like to give staff the direction to push forward to try and get a meeting established with the city to be able to start talking about these potential items?
Okay, Vanessa, then I will ask you if you would like to contact the city and ask them when they would like to get together with us to bring some of these issues up and.
Yep.
And
We'll see.
I think
And that's with Rick and Joe, to be clear? Okay.
if, I don't even know who you're going to get a hold of
That's
now, the
correct.
mayor, I guess. But would like to at least get a quick get together in first part of December.
Yeah.
So we need to get rolling hard on this in
Mhm.
January.
Well, hey, if we don't find it cheap for them, it's tough, he can't. So I'm not
We
worried
were
about
looking
that.
for one when we hired him.
Hired him,
Wasn't
I-
it?
Yeah.
Close the door, hit him in the butt.
I do, seriously though, I do feel fortunate. We've got good battalion staff. Yeah, we're not gonna fall apart, but we'd like to get rolling on this and get
Yeah,
some of
we
that
need
stuff
to.
Yeah.
ironed out.
I'll
Time
ask
is
them
of
for their
essence, I
soonest
agree.
availability and we'll get that wrong.
I agree. Time
Yeah.
is of essence, so.
It is with the time involved that goes through for recruitment.
We
Yeah,
got holidays coming up and all that.
Yeah, but
Yep.
I would like to set, look, we have a quick one, first part of December sometime and.
So if you could draft them up a letter.
So we
and
can kind of get set
tell
up
them
for
we would like to
January.
get something going ASAP and
Will do.
go from there. Okay, that
I'll go
part
horse
is
around,
done.
Peter, done.
Thank you, Jim. Item 4.4, consider and adopt resolution number 21-005, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Crescent Fire Protection District authorizing earlier payment to firefighters who participated in CAL FIRE and CALO's assignments. Recommendation, staff report, consider surplus, oh wait, that's the same.
Receive staff.
No. Receive staff. report. Wrong page, sorry.
Is this the per diem issue?
this is, this is when they go out and then to be able to get them paid so they don't have to wait a year, basically. Yeah,
Well, they're volunteers.
yeah, but they're also taking time sometimes off at work.
So do we have a report on that then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Board Chair, employees of the Crescent Fire Protection District, both career and volunteer, participated in the past in station coverage assignments and in fire assignments in the state responsibility areas for CAL FIRE. There is also potential to participate in fire assignments as a local government resource through Cal OES, which this occurred in September 2020 on the Slater fire that burned from Happy Camp to Gasky overnight, where personnel were deployed for multiple days engaged in structure protection and fire attack. Situation has also occurred this year as a member of the department has been out on incident command team assignments from the district. In these assignments, personnel costs are generated and received that pay firefighters. Apparatus costs are generated and received, which the district retains payment, and an administrative fee is also generated from staff processing. Past practice has been to pay the participating firefighters upon receipt of payment in the district from either CAL FIRE or Cal OES. There have been numerous times with both agencies where payment was not received by the district for up to 1 year after the assignment. For individuals signing up for covering or fire assignments, this has created significant financial hardship as some have taken unpaid time off from work to help provide coverage or direct fire attack. For some, they decided not to sign up for future assignments, which has limited the ability for staff apparatus for future assignments. In the case of overhead assignments, the individual may use a district-owned vehicle, pickup or SUV while on assignment. But to this point, they have paid for fuel, food, lodging while en route to and from the incident, or lodging at the incident if authorized, then had to wait for reimbursement. As an example, currently the district is awaiting payment on 5 out of jurisdiction assignments for overhead positions. Firefighter utilized a district pickup for part of the assignments and an SUV for the other assignments. As an example, 4 of those assignments are as follows. And we've got the Sky incident with the personnel total cost, $2,835 and change to the firefighter. The district made $672 off of the support vehicle and $350 and change for the admin surcharge. Incident management staging, July 1 through July 3rd, personnel cost was $2,900 and change to the firefighter. The district made $448 plus $338 between vehicle and admin surcharge. And then the firefighters also still waiting on payment for the travel expenses that they did out of pocket. Similar, Beckworth, July 10th to July 22nd. Personnel amount that'll go to the fire personnel, just over 12,000. The support vehicle that the district will retain, just over 2,900. The admin fee is just over 1,500. And the travel expenses that are currently out of pocket for the firefighter are 479. Lick incident later on that month and into August. Personnel total 14,000. The support vehicle, an SUV in this case, 2,910. Admin surcharge over 1,700, and their travel expenses were $259. The personnel total paid goes to the firefighter, then gets processed through the city for payroll services and workers' comp, with the amount added to the quarterly payment that is invoiced to the district. The travel expenses are owed to the firefighter. Let's see, as he covered those costs for fuel, food, and lodging out of pocket, because the district does not currently have a travel card that could cover these expenses. District receives the revenue on the vehicle and the admin surcharge and retains those. These reflect a single overhead position paid hourly, a pickup or SUV. The pickup's worth $135, or the SUV's paid $194 daily, pretty much to sit in fire camp. The revenue has the potential to increase significantly with an engine out on a fire or covering a station with personnel in the engine, as the engine's paid $126.50 hourly. District does not lose revenue by paying the firefighters early, and it's the final payment the district receives from CAL FIRE or Cal OES contains the full personnel apparatus and administrative fee. At the time of invoice packet submittal to CAL FIRE or Cal OES, staff will also generate a payment spreadsheet to submit to city for payment of participating personnel. Too many P's. The amount of the early wildland personnel payments would be included in the quarterly billing from the city to the district for payroll services. Workers' comp insurance is maintained by the city for the firefighters participating as per the joint emergency and fire services agreement. If approved, staff will work with the auditor controller office to select the most appropriate line within the district budget to provide early payments as necessary. There's no negative fiscal impact from adoption of resolution 21-005, authorizing earlier payments on fire personnel participating in CAL FIRE and Cal OES wildland assignments. Adoption will authorize payment to firefighters prior to receipt of payment by the district through the city to the firefighters, with that amount then added to the current quarterly payment billed to the district. The district will be reimbursed for the amount of the early payment upon receipt of payment from CAL FIRE or Cal OES. And then attached is a resolution for consideration. And that's a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Crescent Fire Protection District authorizing earlier payment to firefighters who participated in CAL FIRE and Cal OES assignments. And it reads, whereas the Crescent Fire Protection District is a public agency located in the county of Del Norte, state of California, and whereas it is the Crescent Fire Protection District Board of Directors' desire to provide fair legal payment to all of its employees for time worked, and whereas the Crescent Fire Protection District has in its employee fire department response personnel, including a fire chief, we have had a deputy chief, assistant chiefs, division chief, battalion chief, fire captain, company operator, lieutenant engineer, apparatus operator, and firefighter, whereas Crescent Fire Protection District will compensate its employees portal while in the course of their employment away from their official duty station and assigned to an emergency incident, in support of an emergency incident, or pre-positioned for an emergency incident. And whereas Crescent Fire Protection District will compensate its employees overtime in accordance with their current memorandum of understanding while in the course of their employment away from their official duty station and assigned to an emergency incident, in support of an emergency incident, or pre-positioned for emergency response. Now therefore be it resolved by the Crescent Fire Protection District Board of Directors that one, personnel shall be compensated according to memorandum of understanding, personnel rules and regulation, and or other directives that identifies personnel compensation in the workplace. The number two, the Crescent Fire Protection District will maintain a current salary schedule or acknowledgement of acceptance of the base rate on which the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services, Fire Rescue Division, or response assistance for hire agreement with CAL FIRE. Number three, personnel will be compensated portal to portal, beginning at the time of dispatch to the return to jurisdiction when equipment and personnel are in service and available for agency response. Four, fire department response personnel, and again, it gives the list of different personnel through that. And number five, fire department response personnel shall be paid following submittal of the billing invoice packet to the paying agency, CAL FIRE or Cal OES, excuse me, through normal personnel payment process utilized by the district for personnel costs and check requests for out-of-pocket and lodging expenses for receipts. And what this basically is to try and get those firefighters that do go out and do sign up and say that they're willing to go on these assignments, to go ahead and get them paid and to get the out of pocket paid for them when they've got those expenses, and then knowing that's coming back to the district at the end of the process once Cal OES or CAL FIRE pays it, because they cover the personnel costs, they cover the vehicle costs, the admin costs that's generated when the chief and the administrative assistant process it all, and then any out of pocket costs. So ultimately that comes back to the district.
Is that separating us back out of Crescent City Fire and Rescue doing this? I don't see Crescent City. It looks like it's just us and our district.
Typically when we do this, typically the reason it's been the district in the past is because either the fire engines or the vehicles. Like in the case of the wildland fire engines, the city doesn't own any wildland fire engines, any type 3 engines. We've also done it with the district vehicles, the pickup or that kind of thing, honestly, because we see the money then come back to the fire district versus go into the general fund at the city.
Okay.
And
I'm looking on there. It
yeah,
doesn't look like strike team. What is this if it's a pickup or an SUV? Strike team I'm familiar with.
Right. So typically you'll see a pickup or an SUV, like if it's an overhead type assignment, where you've got somebody that's been requested because of skills and knowledge. They go out underneath the fire protection district. We send them in a district vehicle. And like those overhead assignments were situation unit leader. So they're basically a fire camp position. They're supporting the bigger incident.
Is this one of those things, remember when we were talking about
Mhm.
how we could generate revenue and we were talking about getting some retired chief officers or whatever that
This is-
would work through us?
This could start that direction, but what this is predominantly, it's pointed at our personnel currently.
It's
Because
what
we
got
haven't-
already.
Yeah, we haven't gone a step to try and bring outside
Yeah,
people
but is
in.
this similar to what we were talking about?
It could go down that path or evolve that direction.
I'm still trying
Yeah.
to figure out, okay, how is it we don't have strike team, but we've got like a chief officer going out?
Right.
Have enough
We
engines.
haven't had
I'm
enough.
sorry?
Go ahead, Jim.
Well, to have a strike team, you gotta have 5 engines and
Yeah,
Right.
we don't,
We
Right.
we go out,
we
we
don't have-
took an engine out,
Yeah,
we don't have 5 engines.
right.
So you
And-
can't have a strike.
but we could be one of the engines.
We
to
could,
make up a strike.
but we gotta have the personnel that are
But that
available
would
and
still
willing to
cover-
go.
this would still
Did
cover
any of our
personnel.
new engines that we purchased?
Just purchased?
Has they been out yet?
No, they haven't. They were right at the tail end. We've got one of them in service currently. We've actually had some discussion with CAL FIRE, and we also talked with them because they send the camp in, they'll staff their camp engine at Alder Camp and send it out. They may at different points look for the ability to rent one of these engines with no staff on it to put back in the inmate camp to be able to
Make
provide
them a
that.
deal.
Yeah.
We'll rent them an engine plus correctional officers.
There you
and
go.
Charge them double.
There you go. And so
This is basically what we've already been doing
Yes.
historically.
yes,
And it's just making sure they get paid in timely manner, but we're not paying for it. We're not,
basically,
we're gonna get covered. We're
Right.
not losing anything.
it's paying it forward to get them paid off. And then when the overall amount comes in from the state agency, that covers what went to pay the,
So this
the
isn't
firefighters
something
off.
new. This is what we've been doing all along.
it's just, we
haven't-
always,
We haven't been doing this.
we
all
waited
along.
No, I'm talking
Right.
about the personnel going out.
So
right. We
Would
waited
We've
until
had
the
people
end
going
when
out, but
all
they
the
don't
money
get paid
came
for
in.
a year.
Would we be better off
They get
just
paid. We're still working for us.
renting our engine instead of sending our firefighters out, being we are really not experienced at?
If they want to. So this past
There's
year,
money,
we,
Jim, on these guys.
so this past year, we went down a path and significantly increased the wildland training so that we could work toward being there. Cal OES has a level that they want. Cal Fire has basically adopted the Cal OES level now for local government engines. And so we worked through that this last spring in order to be able to get a group of people up and available to go. We didn't end up seeing an opportunity this year to send an engine out. There were some requests, predominantly in Humboldt, to where they pulled some engines in for coverage. We had a couple of times that they asked, and we didn't have the personnel available. Some said, I gotta wait for a year to get paid. And so that's part of where this comes from. To answer Director Kelly's question, basically in the whereas, assigned to an emergency incident, that could be an engine participating as one engine in a strike team. That could be station coverage. That could be, at that point, the district making money off of one of these engines going out unstaffed and going to an inmate camp and getting parked, or Cal Fire staffing it, which they haven't done for a few years, but they're looking at going back to that because too many of their engines are ending up in the diesel shop because of emissions problems on the modern engines.
So what is this support vehicle about?
So,
'Cause that goes to us.
mhm.
That goes to us.
Yep, yeah, so the overhead assignment that went out this year, working through to get somebody that they were a trainee, working to get them certified so that they can do the job. So we fronted them out there on a training assignment. They took a vehicle. That vehicle, when they go, typically, if they're an overhead assignment in a fire camp, that vehicle's pretty much in the fire camp. We're not incurring a lot of wear and tear on that vehicle, and it gets paid to be parked there. And that money comes back to the fire protection district.
how does the city, do they get any of this money because of our agreement with them, 10% or 7%?
They'll see a 7% basically for the processing fee or the
What do they
processing.
Process.
It's 10.
I was thinking it was 7. Oh.
It's money.
Yeah, they've got a processing fee when they do the payroll for the firefighters. And that's part of the agreement between the city and the district.
Is that coming out of
The admin
district
fee.
part or the wages part?
That typically their processing would come out of the admin fee that the district sees. The workers' comp comes out of the firefighter part. And they do a reduction in the wages to cover that workers' comp.
Does the city pay the same kind of fees for their? Does the city charge?
To process their personnel,
Yes.
I seriously doubt it unless they've got an intergovernmental that goes between the different departments.
Which my question would be, if the city is not charging the city and we are partners with each other, Why should we put up with that garbage?
Well,
Good
Sounds
question.
like something the 2x2 committee should address.
That is a good point. Put it on the agenda.
Got it.
You bet.
Okay?
Yep.
Fair
Sounds
is
like a
fair.
plan.
If they're only gonna charge us and they're not getting charged for it, then, we need to put our foot down and say,
Well, and one of the things, I know when we
Mhm.
get the Cal OES payment right, that there's
Mhm.
a 10% admin fee for them processing the payroll, but then we get charged again a 7% on top of that.
so it's
When we
double
get billed.
taxation.
So
Okay.
it's 10 there
Then
and
there's
then
even
7
more.
again.
Why does it even have to go through the city? Why can't we just, the fire district cut the firefighters a check once we get reimbursed?
The only,
They're
the only piece we don't have is through the district is the workers' comp component. And that's the piece that
We
the fire
have to have
district
record
lacks.
because we get audited.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the component that the district doesn't have.
Sounds like
But it
we're
still
paying-
needs to be on the, still needs to be on the thing to ask them if the city's not being charged
Right,
for those.
for
then we
personnel
should be
services.
charged, Cause we basically are 50-50 with, servicing.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good catch,
No, very good.
Alright.
Yeah,
that's the reason, that's the reason.
Do we need to make a motion on
Motion
this?
on this?
I move to adopt resolution number 21005 and waive the reading.
I agree. I mean, I
that's a lot of
second.
The
reading.
motion's been made, a second has been made. Any discussion regarding this? If not, does it need a poll vote or can we just?
No, we full vote it, I believe, yes. Chairman Nelson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Short,
Yes.
Director Early,
Yes.
Director Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Motion has been approved. No ayes or no one against it. So we will move on to item 4.5. Consider surplus and sale or donation of district vehicle. Recommendation received staff report.
Thank you, Chair Nelson. So staff are requesting board consideration in declaring the following district vehicles as surplus for purposes of removal from roster and sale or donation. The units are water tender 5158, and there's photos along in the packet as well. Engine 5137, engine 5114, and the fire rescue boat. So as a brief on each, water tender 5158, previously numbered tender 28, is a 1977 white Gunland water tender with a 3,200 gallon tank. Unit is stored at Cooper Station and has responded to an incident once in the last 4 to 5 years. The unit has an air-driven starter, which can be challenging for many of the drivers, and no power steering. The condition of the unit is listed as poor in the fire department master plan. Master plan identified replacement in the year 2020. Numerous members of the department have told me that very few people can safely drive the unit. If declared surplus, the district will still have 2 large water tenders in service, 5159 and 5150. Currently, there would be no plan to replace 5158 with another unit. Engine 5137 is a 1982 International Type 3 engine used for wildland responses. The engine was refurbished in 2017. While listed as good condition in the master plan, the unit has begun to experience wear issues. Unit utilizes a diesel main drive engine of low power and a gasoline pump engine. The main engine significantly lacks power, and any hill that must be climbed in response rapidly slows the engine. Highway 101 climbing Crescent Hill south of town sees a speed of 18 miles an hour. The pump engine, which is a 460 Ford, is blowing an increasing amount of smoke when pumping. For a certified fire mechanic, repair parts for the older units are becoming very hard to find. Engine 5137 has leaking seals on the front four-wheel drive axle, and the cab is a single cab configuration and is very tight if you're trying to put a 3-person crew in it while responding. Engine 5114, formerly known as Engine 24, is a 1991 West States Type 1 engine. The condition of the unit was listed as poor in the master plan, with a recommendation of replacement in 2020. While there is one Type 1 engine that is older in the fleet currently serving as a reserve engine, a 1988 Spartan Hughes engine 5115, the reserve engine is in better operating condition and is used more frequently by the firefighters due to its better maneuverability and ease of use. With the purchase of the two former CAL FIRE Type 3 engines, one of these could be placed at Birch Station to provide an engine at that location for response. And in the fire rescue boat is a 2005 Extreme Jet two-person jet ski with a pump. Unit has operated once in the last 3.5 years, and it was challenging to start and keep running at that time. In addition to being unreliable, the unit is poorly suited to response for our area. The unit sunk in the past while in use in the harbor, dumping two of our firefighters into the cold water. There is a possible option to shift this unit to the National Park Service at Whiskeytown Lake in trade for a Type 6 wildland unit. Such a trade could place the rescue boat in a location near jet ski service shops and on a lake environment where the unit can be used safely. Trading for a Type 6 wildland unit would give the capability for firefighters who are approved to drive pickups, but not a full-sized engine, to still get water on scene for beach fires, small trash fires, etc. Staff is requesting permission to pursue the sale or donation of these units to entities who could use them. The water tender and fire engines could either go to a fire department in California or out of state due to California Air Resource Board requirements. They may be able to go to another governmental entity for off-road use, but that has to be researched. If declared surplus, these units could be placed on the online auction site govdeals.com. There's no for fiscal impact. There's no foreseeable fiscal impact through declaring surplus and selling or donating the above units to another entity. The district may be able to gain some funding should the units sell at auction. Disposal of the units prior to further mechanical failure cuts the repair costs for these units in the future as repair parts become harder to find. So with the 4 units that we're talking about, most definitely, and some of you are familiar with Tanker 28, 5158. An idea, if it can stay in state under CARB regs, going to another government entity, maybe to take it across the road to the fairgrounds if they were interested in a water tender for on-site use. 5137 is the engine that was refurbished again in 2017, but we're starting to see some significant wear problems with it. And
What would anybody else have interest in it for?
potentially with that engine, the possibility of like either a smaller volunteer fire department or honestly a pot grower.
Yeah.
You know, the water plants or ranch type use to be able to have an engine that they could use once in a while if they needed an engine for fire suppression.
Would we, when we dispose of these, they're stripped down, we're not gonna give any hose, brass,
No,
equipment away with them?
no, they're empty.
Except
Will
maybe
this
the
come off?
suction hose.
Yeah, we would take
I
that
was gonna
front,
say, this is.
we would take
this is
that
made
front
for us
emblem.
By the high school.
Yep, we would take that front emblem off of that unit. All hose ladders, anything like that would be pulled off of them. They'd be sold basically stripped and empty. And because we would turn around and utilize, like in the case, I've got one unit out here that I've got to replace a roof ladder on. The roof ladder off of 14 could go in its place without having to purchase a replacement ladder.
How serious is this swap with Whiskeytown for the fireboat?
That one, the Park Service is actually looking at it and said, let us get back to you. And because it sort of surprised me that they would be interested in it
Well, how old is the Type 6 engine?
That yet has yet to be answered.
Will this go on, all of this stuff go on the auction line to where, or advertise in the paper for sale, or how?
It would, it has the potential to go there if the rescue boat had the ability and the unit that they offered up met the needs of the department and the approval of the district board. That one I would see doing a transfer rather than a sale. The other ones, I would say likely Gov Deals would be the place for them to go and go to the online auction site.
If we did the swap with
Mhm.
the Park Service, would the federal government still maintain ownership of that Type 6 engine, or would they give it to the district?
I believe in the discussion so far, it would go off of their roster and would be given
So
to
it's
the
old
district.
and they want to get rid of it.
We'll see what the age is
Yeah.
and the mileage.
Well, I like the idea of taking the tanker across the street. I think it's a big liability for anybody that would try to take it on the road. But they just
But it's not all.
toot along couple miles an
Yeah.
hour over there and use it for dust abatement or whatever. I think
Water in the track or whatever, water in the horse barns. And the 5158 tanker 28, just prior to my arrival here, it was actually red tagged by CHP. And they were able, it had brake issues and a number of other things, and they were able to get the slack adjusters operating properly. So
That's nice.
mechanically, it's,
Oh,
at this point, it would probably pass an inspection if CHP pulled it, but I can't say for sure, and the parts are getting harder to get.
I just hate the idea of liability from my driving down the road and that thing.
I'm gonna get hurt, and we're in the world of hurt.
You've driven it, I presume? Yeah, that thing was scary when I drove it 20-something years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When I first got here, the guys took me around to all the stations. They showed me and said, you ever driven one like that? Lolita actually had one kind of like that, and they got rid of it a long time ago too.
Yeah.
Is this boat, is it froze up? When it went into the water, did they drain it or do anything?
They were, what they did, it's my understanding, when it was sunk in the harbor, they had a shop or had somebody that went through it. And then from the sounds of it, talking to the folks here, it never fully operated quite right again.
Probably got electronics in it. 'cause it's all
Since I've been here, two of the guys did take it out to Dead Lake and fired it up and ran it out there, but they had a lot of trouble keeping it running.
So
The reality, I think it needs to, whatever route it goes, it either needs to be traded in a swap, it needs to be sold outright as is, or if we were gonna maintain it, I think it needs to make a trip to Reading and go to a jet ski shop where they know how to work on
Well, I guess my question is, there's two of them. One is, obviously, they thought there was a reason to buy it in the first place. There's some purpose in the
it.
harbor.
Mhm.
Is that purpose, do we still need to have a
So,
boat in the harbor?
When they bought it and they put it in service here for the harbor, they didn't have the fire suppression system like the new harbor docks have that we can pump to. And we've got the ability to pump to an FDC and standpipes that go out on all of the different
Right.
docks for a boat
Provided
that's
it's not all
inside.
corroded and
Yeah,
not repaired.
as long as we don't
So we really
pressure
don't-
it and blow part of it out.
So we don't
We're really
need,
not gonna use it anyway.
Yeah,
It's a
we
luxury.
really
now, are
don't
we
do that.
responsible for boat fires that are away from the dock, like out in the middle of the harbor someplace?
If they're out like that, the reality is that won't give us enough to be able to get it put out,
We'll call the Coast Guard?
pretty much.
They won't show up either.
And they're gonna have to come from Brookings.
Yeah.
Reality.
So
And-
pretty cool we first got it, because before that we had Fireboat 49,
Yeah,
old antique. We
Don't
got
say-
it from
don't say
Fashion
that.
Blacksmith, kind of gave it to us. Hey, here you go,
So
Fireboat.
we really don't need a fireboat in the harbor.
no. And honestly, if there was through something into the future, it was determined again, to me, that emphasis needs to go on the harbor district to come up with a fireboat. And we pushed that down in Eureka on Humboldt Bay. And the harbor district was the one that went after a grant for a fireboat that they maintain and the fire department would help crew on it.
Oh, we got a grant on this too.
Uh-huh. And from what my understanding, the guy that owned the company that built those, he built a whole series of them after 9/11. They built a series of them and then he closed the doors and he's left the country. And he's in a country where they can't pull him back now. And they can't touch what he made. And so he left the whole kit and caboodle
So
hanging
really
there.
with the boat, it seemed like the easiest solution is to trade with the Park Service.
Provided the unit that they're gonna offer up is mechanically sound.
And it becomes property of the district.
If not, take bids on.
Yeah, and if not, we can put it out on Good Deals.
Somebody will buy it.
I'll put
Somebody
a
will
bid
buy
on.
it.
We'll just sell it, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll put a bid on.
so,
Yeah, that's what I think.
Them two engines,
don't
just
run.
bid them out.
No, I
Yeah.
get it
I'd
running.
like to get that tanker across the street if we could.
yeah, and I can talk
I don't
to
know if
the,
other guys think
I can
about
talk
that
to the
too.
fair district if that's the
Right.
direction and we'll see if they're interested in it. And that would be the first stop with that water tender. And then if that doesn't do it, if they say, nah, we're not interested, then we can,
That's a good idea. It's great. We can give it to the fair board, but the problem is they're only gonna use it for 3 days or 4 days a
year.
year in
Mhm.
August.
No, could be-
And
well,
it's gonna
maybe.
Yeah.
sit out there in the weather and it's.
Some
gonna
logger
just-
might need it too. You know,
exactly.
There's loggers that, Jippo loggers who have to have water tankers to.
And it could go right up over the border and serve up in Oregon quite easily.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
Yeah.
So I'm quite sure there would be a demand for the tanker.
Mhm.
I mean, they don't have to have it completely full if
Yeah.
they feel there's a safety issue with it, but, we have to do it legal,
Mhm.
you know, we. can't just-
Absolutely.
So we have to follow the rules. of
So
the
everything
game
would
for
be
that.
sold as is.
Yep. No guarantees, no warranties, 30 feet or 30 seconds. It hits the street, it's yours.
It's yours.
And what I could do is, as we go, if this is approved, if the board says surplus them out, start looking into the process to dispose of them. I'll talk to the fair board and we'll follow up with the Park Service and I'll report back to the board on those units. And then we can also work toward getting the photographs and everything for the other ones and get those up on Gov Deals, up on the auction site.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
We're still not done.
All right, so,
I got church tonight.
Probably do need a motion to be able to declare them surplus.
You don't go to church till 7:30, though. Oh, yeah.
And if you want to do that, Board Chair Nelson,
so is there a recommendation to, turn things over to the chief for getting, either putting things online or finding out who might be interested in, making a trade on some of this equipment or whatever?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we deal with liquidation of the aforementioned pieces of equipment.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
I-
Opposed, motion carried.
and the plus side is we've already got, Crescent Fire Protection District already has a Gov Deals account. So it'll be easy to be able to list those.
But we're selling, we're not buying.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
selling.
Yeah.
We bought enough.
You gotta make sure you.
Selling or
You
trading.
gotta make sure you ask before you do it.
Oh, we did find where it does say the fire chief, the board had approved in 2018,
That's right.
where there's up to $10,000 is what it says.
Yeah.
But if it happens again, hopefully there's more leeway and we'll bring it up in a meeting first.
All right, Item 4.6, approve, review and approve budget transfer request.
So speaking of those two engines purchased, so Crescent Fire Protection District recently purchased two fire engines, one of which was considered a capital asset and was purchased using district's truck line 409-065 -40621. The board had previously approved the budget transfer to cover the cost of the engines without knowledge of the associated DMV costs. The district will need to transfer $500 from the department allotment line 409-065-30500 to the truck line in order to cover the DMV costs that were incurred. Requesting board approval to move $500 for the department allotment to the current fiscal budget for the cost of the DMV fees associated with the 1997 Type 3 engine. And attached is a budget transfer sheet and memo for budget transfer request. I can tell so far we haven't spent any money on outfitting them. We've got one in service currently out there on the floor with begged and moved
So this is
equipment.
just for one of the engines?
That's just the DMV cost,
The
which is
DMV
just a
fees.
one time and then it's,
Right.
we don't.
And
pay
then it's
more,
done.
but-
Well, what about the other engine?
So that one's not a capital asset because it was under the threshold of what's considered a capital asset.
I
So
got it.
anything over 5,000 has to be in the capital asset line. That was
Mm.
5,500. So it has to go in a specific line. The other one's not considered a capital asset, so it just goes under minor equipment.
They got us on a technicality.
Couldn't get bid last night?
I tried.
It was that 10% fees they throw on at the end. Make you
Right,
pay 500.
I make a motion that we pay the DMV.
Well, we already paid them. We just need to move
We just
money.
need to move the money to cover the.
Oh, this gets better and better.
Move the money to pay the DMV.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why do we have to pay DMV?
she said we only had to do it once.
DMV
Just
said,
the
said
So you can get
there's
the
a
government
transfer
plate.
fee,
Yeah.
to get the plates.
You believe that?
Well,
Just
I
say
thought we were.
They pulled them.
Yeah, just say exempt.
Cal Fire
The
pulled
plates
them.
say
Yeah,
exempt.
'cause it's
Yeah.
assigned to
It's a
that
one
vehicle,
time.
right?
Yeah,
One
exactly.
You believe that?
I believe it.
They get us coming and going.
But the highest.
Yeah,
you know,
it's-
in the
Blood
nation.
sucker, we need to buy
But
generators
here
and chainsaws before next year.
All right, a motion's been made.
We're-
Do I hear a second?
We're doing that through some other stuff.
Okay, do I hear a second on that?
I
So,
did.
Oh, motion's been made and a
Yep.
second is then, any
Don't forget
discussion?
Don't
Yeah,
forget you have to sign this.
yeah. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried. Old business, any old business?
Oh, wait, we have one more item to discuss. 4.7.
4.7,
Oh, I thought we
we're
just
still on
did that.
4.
Oh.
We go as far down as 6.1.
Review and
Yes.
Yep.
for legal services, okay, chief.
You want to roll with this one, Vanessa, or you want me to read it?
You can. that's fine.
Okay.
I'll let you. You're doing so well already.
Vanessa,
tonight.
Vanessa was a huge help in this portion. So as a background, Crescent Fire Protection District had a contract with the law offices of Nancy Diamond to obtain legal counsel during the district's benefit assessment. After the benefit assessment passed, the district's contract with law offices of Nancy Diamond came to an end, and their firm is unable to provide general counsel work at this time. The district will now need to obtain new legal counsel. Upon recommendation, staff has reached out to the Mitchell Law Firm, LLP, who has provided a letter of interest and an attorney-client fee agreement. Fiscal impact from Section 5 of the attorney-client fee agreement. Client agrees to pay by the hour at the attorney's prevailing rate for all time spent on client's matters by attorney's legal personnel. Current hourly rates for legal personnel are as follows. Partners are $225 an hour, associates $195 an hour, paralegals $100 an hour. The rates on this schedule are subject to change on 30 days written notice to client. If client declines to pay any increased rates, attorney will have the right to withdraw as attorney for the client. The time charge will include include the time attorney spends on telephone calls relating to client's matter, including calls with client, witnesses, opposing counsel, or court personnel. The legal personnel assigned to client's matter may confer among themselves about the matter as required and appropriate. When they do confer, each person will charge for the time expended as long as the work done is reasonably necessary and not duplicative. Likewise, if more than one of the legal personnel attends a meeting, court hearing, or other proceeding, each will charge for the time spent. Attorney will charge for waiting time in court and elsewhere and for travel, both local and out of town. Time charged is charged in minimum units of 1/10 of an hour. For additional fees, see Section 6 of the attorney-client fee agreement titled Cost and Other Charges. And I will turn it over to Vanessa to introduce
So
the attorney that we have on with us currently.
I'm gonna start our video so he can see us too.
Okay.
So this is Ryan Potts with joining us through Zoom here. And so as Bill just read about him, and so you can see his letter of interest is in there, the whole pack and everything. So if you guys have any questions for Ryan, he has made himself available for the
This is
meeting
different.
tonight.
Different than what we've had.
Yeah, we had Nancy Diamond, and she has too many clients at this time. She's unable to
Can't keep
take us
going with
going
us.
forward.
But she recommended this person.
He has came highly recommended by the city. Nancy has also worked with him as well. And so far from what I've seen, he's been like very prompt. He's very easy to get a hold of. He's already helping get legal counsel for our litigation stuff. So he's really been on it. And this is just working with him in 24 hours. I would say that I'm already very impressed.
Not that often we meet, hopefully.
Yeah, just for
Yep,
closed
that's needed.
session
Get
items
past
coming
all
up and
This.
whatnot.
Right now, so.
Right.
And it's a pleasure to meet you all. I'll say that for fire protection districts, legal counsel needs are somewhat limited. I represent the Arcata Fire Protection District, and it's similar. It's mainly Brown Act ordinance preparation and some kind of day-to-day operational questions. But that's typical of most fire protection districts.
Does anyone have any questions of him right now? Or is he online now?
Yeah,
Yep, he's on with us right
he's
now.
live now.
That was him talking.
That's what I thought.
One time we had a guy, he didn't feel like we put enough water on his building and he was gonna sue us. Will you take those kind of cases?
Yeah, I mean, as general counsel, whether to represent the district in litigation is always a board consideration. Sometimes litigation requires specialized counsel to work with general counsel in defending. But for your run-of-the-mill litigation, whether it's defense or prosecution, I'll handle that on behalf of a lot of clients here in Humboldt and would be willing to do the same for the district.
Any other questions of the board? If not, we'll move on to, I guess there is no public participation, being there's no one out there. Do I have a motion to approve, and do you need to take a poll vote on it?
We can, for safe measure, sure.
Okay. Do I have a motion, first of all, to approve the contract?
I move to approve the contract.
Okay,
I second.
then a first and second, any discussion? No discussion?
No,
All in
I'm
favor?
trying to speed read to it. It looked like a standard boilerplate. Name go by recommendation, something like that. I don't know.
Okay, Vanessa, you want to take a poll vote?
Chairman Nelson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Short,
Yes.
Director Early,
Yes.
Director Kelly.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you for
Thank you,
joining the
Ryan.
meeting.
Charge us the whole time you was sitting there, did you?
No charge for tonight. You just approved it.
Thank you.
Next.
Well, I heard some commotion when we first started. She said you were on there and I thought, well, okay.
All right.
Whole hour and 15 minutes.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good night. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Item 5, old business. Is there anything on old business?
Yeah, we do. We do have the review and discuss the amendment to the tower and ground space lease from New Singular Wireless and AT&T. What I have been asked is Frank Shabaram out of Reading is the one that I've been dealing back. He asked for a way to be able to call in. So I'm going to call him and put him on speakerphone. That way he can hear the staff report. He can also go through and he can give public comment, answer any questions the board might have. So let me get him real quick.
Did we do any checking to see on prices?
We were able to get confirmation back on one. And I put it in here while I'm dialing him up. We're getting 1,100 and change a month out here, and this tower's getting 1,500 a month. And so that was the one that we were able to get confirmation back on for Chair Nelson.
Hello.
Hi, is this Frank?
Yes, it is. Hi there.
Hi, Frank. This is Chief Gillespie, and I've got you on live. We're just starting into that here with 4 of the board members, myself, and Vanessa still in the room. So I'm gonna read through. I'm gonna leave you live. I'm gonna read through the staff report, and then you'll have an opportunity during the public comment period if there's anything you want to add or to answer any questions the board might have as well.
Okay, very good.
You bet. All right, members of the board, Crescent Fire Protection District was contacted by New Singular Wireless to place a generator on the east side of the precast concrete equipment shelter, housing another carrier's equipment, and carry lines to the AT&T prefab equipment shelter on the west side of the fenced area to the rear of our fire station. To accomplish installation, it was proposed by the contractor to move the east fence further east into the asphalt lot and adding an area measuring 3 feet by 18 feet to the current fenced enclosure. New Singular Wireless had proposed an increase to the current lease of $100 per month. After discussion at the August board meeting, staff were directed to contact New Singular Wireless with the request of a security fence be installed along the east side of the rear lot and $500 per month added to the monthly rent. Per Representative Frank Shabaram, and did I pronounce that right, Frank?
Pretty darn close, Frank Shabaram.
Okay, we're pretty close.
Yeah.
For New Singular Wireless, they must try to keep monthly rent as low as possible to get the project approved by AT&T management, and they may be able to utilize capital improvement funding options in the project after it has been relayed to New Singular Wireless the issues with security and the need for fencing of the facility. 2 options have been provided by New Singular Wireless for board consideration. One was to lease AT&T an approximately 10-foot by 16-foot lease area for the installation of the generator surrounded by a new chain link fence adjacent to the existing southerly communications tower, which is in the lawn. It would be on the west side of that tower location, for a one-time payment of $20,000, which the district could use as it sees fit. There would be no increase in monthly rent. This would place the generator out of vehicle travel areas. It would require board approval of trenching the rear driveway lot yard to allow generator power line access from the tower to the generator, and would be subject to no utility easements that would have to be crossed. Or number 2, to allow AT&T to install the originally proposed 3-foot by 18-foot bump out on the east side of the existing cell tower compound, that would be the north compound, into the parking area, and install a full-length security fence from the southeast corner of the fire department building to the south tower compound, and then east to the edge of the property at the hedge. This would include a manual gate across the driveway. AT&T would be responsible for the cost of the new fencing and manual gate and would pay a monthly increase to rent of $100. At the October 11th, 2012 meeting, the board requested staff attempt to determine what other cell sites received in rent. Staff was able to confirm another tower site in the 900 block of 10th Street at the City Public Works yard. That location currently receives $1,500 monthly from the cell company. And that one is not AT&T, but it's another carrier. And the district currently receives $1,106.58 monthly with an annual 3% increase. The city is in negotiations on a generator at that site, but trying to have that cell provider install a generator large enough to run both the tower and the yard buildings. The board is requested to review the two options, determine which it supports, and staff will provide this direction back to New Singular Wireless, who will provide an upgraded contract with that contract proposal once approved by AT&T. It should be noted that if the board does opt for a monthly rental fee for the generator install, it should be added directly to the current lease to be included under the 3% annual modifier. With the fiscal impact, revenue option 1 would be a one-time payment of $20,000 to the district. And if a security fence was desired by the district, the cost would be on the district. Revenue from option 2, as proposed currently, would be $1,200 annually, $100 a month, if district approved option 2, and the construction of a new security fence at cost to AT&T. And we do have Frank on that I've been back and forth with. If you'd like, if the board would like, since we don't have anybody in the room, he could provide what he wants to input and then be available for questions.
Okay, fire away.
Go ahead, Frank.
Yes, I'm looking for, I'm looking for the original license agreement between the fire district and the fire protection district and the predecessor to AT&T. As I remember clearly, the reason why the rent would be considered, below market, particularly in comparison to the other entity that you mentioned earlier, is that AT&T installed the monopole and at their expense, and then they gifted it to the fire protection district. Is that correct? Am I remembering that correctly? And so that kept the rent down because AT&T wanted to get credit for gifting the tower to the protection district.
Okay. Chair Nelson is nodding his head on that, and he probably potentially might have been here or involved at the time when that happened.
Okay, all right, and so that's why the $1,100 is not as comparable to the $1,500 as before.
Mm-hmm.
So that also makes it more challenging for me to get approval from AT&T management because the rent is artificially low right now at $1,100. If I try to go to them with like a $500 monthly increase, that's almost, what is that, 40-something percent,
Mm-hmm.
40-something percent increase. And that would be very difficult to get approved. And so I do have the ability to use capital improvement dollars as in exchange for rental dollars. And so that's why I've offered, or or suggested these two different scenarios. And so, the staff report was excellent. It handled everything. So, except for that one item, which is kind of like an addendum, and that was the fact that the tower was, the rent was lower than usual because the cost of the tower was credited towards rent. So I'm here to promote option 1 or option 2, and I'm also here to answer any questions that you might have.
We talked about this a little bit last meeting, and I think I asked the board to give it some thought of which option we'd rather go. I know my option was to go with option 2 on a monthly basis instead of taking a cash out, but I would like to hear from the other board members what your view is on this.
Well, I think option 2 would probably be the best as far as the interest of the district goes. You know, I think keeping that as a whole parcel out there and not giving away ownership of a piece of the parcel is probably not it seems kind of complicated from a real estate perspective. I think we can just keep it all under option 2. That would be the best for us.
I agree.
Okay, how do you feel about that?
I'm good with it.
Okay.
I don't have any real
So
emotion.
we basically are in an agreement or opinion that we would rather rent. Now, how much better can you do than what you're offering us?
Okay,
You're gonna have to do a little better.
Yeah, we're installing option 2 is installing a new security fence from the side of the building all the way down to where the suburban communications facility is. It includes the bump out for the AT&T generator and a manual gate.
Okay.
Right?
Wait a minute, are they putting it in the yard or
Nope.
right here?
It's putting it out over here, walking down that east side, all the way down the east side of the enclosure.
So it's gonna stay in our
It's-
parking lot?
it's gonna
I
be
thought
on-
we were
it's
talking about
It's gonna be on
putting
the
it
east,
way.
it's the east side of the tower in that piece of parking lot.
Don't-
Okay, that's great. That's to protect your equipment. And now what kind of price are we talking?
Well, I did offer $100.
I think you're gonna have to sharpen your pencil a little bit more.
Does Humboldt State still have a football team?
No.
So I can't offer season tickets?
No, they're done.
That's called bribery. That won't work.
No, they have a value to them. No, okay, so, how about, go ahead. But $250.
So that would be what, $1,400?
No, it'd be 2,400.
No,
$250 a month.
it'd be 13.
Be $1,250. 1,000, isn't it $100?
$13.56 a month.
I think it's a weird number.
Is that what he said?
Right now we get $1,106 a
I know,
month.
talking about
He's
bumping it up 13.
saying add 250.
Add $250 to it would
So it'd be
be $13.56 a month.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay,
Can we do that?
13.56 a month sounds good.
Okay, you got a deal.
Okay, all right.
And that's with a 3% inflation increase, is it?
3% annual escalator,
Yep.
correct?
Right, okay.
That won't keep up with Biden's America.
Approved by AT&T management, but.
Yeah. If you wanna take that offer back to AT&T management, and then you can reach out to Vanessa and I, and we can communicate it. If there's anything that comes up, we'll communicate it back to the district board, either either it went or, and here's the agreement coming to us, or,
First we get a motion, don't
Well, they need to write up a contract and then we'll.
yeah,
we? Okay.
yeah. Giving them direction on what to send back to us.
Okay, well, I appreciate I appreciate the spirit of the board of directors and the chief and wanting to make something happen here, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, Frank. Yeah, when you run it past and then reach back out to Vanessa and I, and we can start working from there. If they approve it and they come up with an agreement, send that over and we'll be able to get that through with the board.
Right, that'll come from me. Oh, will the amendment will need to come to the board and be signed by the president?
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
I need to take that into consideration.
Yep.
Okay.
You
Okay.
bet.
Thank you for your time.
No,
All right.
thanks a bunch, Frank.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
You real estate salesman, you got
Good.
$1,700.
I'm gonna take you with me to buy my next
That's
car.
that's what I was thinking. They offered 100. Let's roll it up 2.5 and see where they go.
Hey, well, if
Yeah.
you don't want to do it, I was gonna tell them, hey, go back and
Find someplace
What did
else.
you really pay for that car?
90,000.
Now that's the thing with it. Take it back and like you said, sharpen your pencil.
It is worth more now than I paid for it. Okay, let's move on to item 6.1. No.
Yep, you're
yeah,
right.
6.1.
Yep. All right, we have for responses, for the period of October, within the fire district, we had 86 responses. One building fire, most of it was medical aids, the usual run of calls. And then for the city, there were 42 responses for a total of 128 calls for service within the month of October. We've continued to see some of it down with dispatch having a better list of what we're supposed to respond to. We've also seen a little bit, some issues with dispatch in that they've had such a turnover of people. They're-
Getting some pretty
Some-
bad publicity.
Yeah, sometimes they are definitely not hitting the calls we should be going on.
Well,
Or there's a
and elsewhere too.
couple of minute delay here and there. Yeah. So have that. I can report, we also did finally, it's not on here, but for the first time ever with the fire recovery outfit, we actually saw insurance companies pay on 2 incidents, just over $2,000. We did have to get back
On your vehicle?
on traffic collisions, and they were
Right
both district responses. They did make the check out to the city, so I requested that they
Oh.
stop payment on them and make them out correctly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, there goes.
So what they're gonna do going
We're
forward,
gonna charge the 10% to cash the check.
that's why it's not going to them. What they're gonna do is they're gonna make the checks out to Crescent City Fire and Rescue. And then it's easy to be able to deposit it whichever direction they need to go. But we did finally, we cracked the egg and we did finally see a little bit of return on something.
Yeah, don't tell the assessment.
Right.
Complainers about it.
Yeah, that helps offset any places where we've had reductions.
Oh, that's right, I get it.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. We're gonna move on to item 7. Is there anything that we'd like to get on the agenda for next month?
Just to let the board know that we're gonna try to do a special meeting probably next week or the week after to obtain legal counsel for the ongoing litigation with Harbor District. Although we have contracted with Ryan to do our general counsel, he suggests that we go with a firm that is really specialized in Prop 218 and will be able to really help us get to where we know. So he's already reached out to the company. They already know what's going on. They've already sent over a contract, so we need to get that contract signed. We need to have closed session
Be
and
able to
discuss the
litigation.
options and
For our
go
next
forward.
meeting?
Yep.
We need to do it before our next meeting, yes, because we have till November 26th to respond to the harbor districts.
Okay.
Yep.
So we should probably.
So they're still going ahead with their.
Currently, they are still going ahead. There were 2 others that were threatening and they've backed off, but the harbor district hasn't dropped theirs yet.
Maybe they're thinking if we don't respond, they could get a judgment.
I don't know. So if
Well, it takes a board, it takes board action to do that, so.
It does.
Whenever they have their board meetings. and that
Yep.
kind of stuff.
and
So-
so,
And I kind of think they were waiting to see what we were gonna do about all that. too.
Mhm.
And Chief Gillespie will be gone
Next
next
week.
week, going to Hawaii. So I'll just call you guys and see
So,
when your best available
We're gonna
days
have
for
the
next
meeting
week.
in Waikiki.
He won't be on, but
I'll
we
be,
can, we
I'll
can
be there in
handle it.
Maui, going to visit the daughter.
So
And,
Ryan will be
So that's
on
why
with
we're
us,
off
our
Zoom
general
now.
counsel.
you know, that way I
You got
can't
an
zoom
excuse
in.
For not being at the
The link didn't work, but no, Vanessa and Ryan, if it works for the board to be able to meet next week for a special closed
The sooner
session.
we can get it done, the better.
Yeah, Vanessa and Ryan will
That'd be
be,
great.
will be able to walk you through everything. And if it does, it's gonna have to be very early the following week, because there is a November 26th deadline on a response back.
Yeah, we should probably shoot
That
for next week if
We
possible.
just found out at the tail end of the week through Nancy that Nancy Diamond that we need. And the litigator that Ryan recommended is very well known for Proposition 218 legal defense. And part of their law firm was at the ground floor when Proposition 218 was actually written. So they've had a lot of experience with it. They come highly recommended.
All right, let's move on to item 8. Do we have votes for adjournment? We're adjourned.
Thank you,
Yes, we
gentlemen.
do.
Boom.